Well, I think that what this lends to is I'm going to actually put the subtitles on in Skype and see if it comes up with, like, crunching noises or eating noises or something.
Nom, nom, nom.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Because we had fun playing around with that the last time.
Nom.
I wonder if it would do onomatopoeia, like for
dude,
crunch, 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 or num num, or if it was just like in brackets, like it does for sound description. It would say like chewing noises.
Well, that's what I'm really curious to find out. I want to see what happens. So chew loudly next to the microphone.
Turning subtitles on.
Because the last time Skype told Andy he liked big dicks or something like that.
and he could not lie.
Oh, dude, it had me in tears. Like I was laughing so hard I couldn't stop.
I feel like this is like I'm trying to intentionally have that moment in the first Ninja Turtles movie when Michelangelo is, I don't know what the frick he's eating, like a giant pretzel stick or something, next to Raphael, and Raphael yells at him about, "Hey, could you crunch any louder?" And then he bites down really hard, but it's like the most loud audible eating ever on film before. Like I don't know if I can recreate that with a slice of pizza.
Just wait till you get to the crust. It's the crust that'll be the
not with a
part.
slice of
So, and apparently it thought I said, "We take it to the crust."
That's right. There it is. I think you just found your new opener for the show for all time. Like that's not our sign off per se, but that's almost like the sign in, like, "Welcome to another episode of Brad Guy and Super Friends, where we take it to the crust."
Take it to the. I don't even know what that means.
Exactly.
You don't have
it doesn't
to.
mean anything. That's just great. But never divulge that.
Yeah. You don't have to tell people what that means. Just let them figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe let them come up with their own idea for it.
We'll get
Whatever it
shirts made
means
up.
to the listener is what it means.
We take it to the crust. Hello and welcome to another episode of Brad Guy and Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is Mike Bradley.
I'm first again. Okay, cool.
Surprise.
Say that thing about the crust. I forget what it was too already, but
we take it to the crust.
We take it to the crust, people. We take it
Yes.
to the crust.
And you've heard him already. Josh Zorich is here also.
Hey, I've been dubbed as the resident movie slut.
Hey, that's a good title to have.
Hello, and welcome to Movie Phone.
Josh, I think you need like a tramp stamp tattoo for that. Put that on your lower back. Movie slut.
I never said no.
Hey, your birthday's coming up, right?
Yeah,
We can figure that out.
definitely. If the listeners make it happen, there I will put photographic evidence on our communication platforms.
Design Josh's tattoo. We will.
I have an
Make sure he
idea
gets
for
it.
everybody, since he's going to be the movie slut. If you've seen the episode of South Park where George Lucas and Steven Spielberg rape Indiana Jones, I was thinking the same kind of thing, but if you could like anthropomorphize Cinemark and AMC in some way, doing that to Josh. Design away, folks. You have your ideas.
It's a good stepping stone. Well, it's a good jumping off point from there.
These are like henna tattoos at the worst. At the best, it's if someone figures out how to get that, printed or created by, like really like the 3-day wash off kind. That would be optimal.
We'll see what we can do. All right. So if you've been following along on Facebook, which, I mean, what am I saying? Of course you've been following along on Facebook. Why would you be listening to this if you're not following us on Facebook? But in the off chance you missed it, we teased this episode a couple days ago. Back when MoviePass was making headlines, we talked about that subscription service, how it all worked, how it would inevitably implode. Josh had actually jumped on that service when it was still seeming like a viable option. He's been giving us some insight now and again about his experience with the service. In that time, there have been some theater chains that have decided to offer their own version of some sort of MoviePass, or at least some type of subscription service that would try to entice people to go to the movie, go to the movie theaters more often. So on this episode, we're going to try to do something a little bit different than normal. Our goal is to go over the different services, lay out how they work, and hopefully help you decide which one of these services may be best for you. But before we actually get into the new services, I know Josh has done his research on MoviePass and wanted to go over the rise and fall of the service for anyone not following along with the headline, so I will toss it over to Josh to give us the rundown.
Thank you, Brian. This is Josh, movie slut, reporting from the field. So spoilers. MoviePass did implode. So I think we first talked about this, I believe, when back earlier today and checked it out. If you go back to episode 109 from September of 2017, that's when we first spent some time talking about MoviePass specifically and the idea of a subscription type of service for movie theater going experiences. At the time, the reason that I think we brought it up is MoviePass got into the zeitgeist and into the news reporting cycle around that time a few weeks earlier because they had done a big media blitz where they were dropping the price of their plans, which I believe were around $40 to $50 per month at the time for, I believe it might have been a certain limited number of movies per month, but I've actually had a little difficulty in finding articles that were citing this from what their prior offering was. But that had kind of been their operating model for a bit. And in the late summer of 2017, they said, we're going to drop the price to $10 per month, and that will enable our subscribers to see one movie every single day. Just one single movie in a 24-hour period for only $10 a month. And right away, that sounded to me like absolutely unsustainable bullshit. At most theaters, nighttime shows, even during the week, and definitely on the weekends, if not, you're going to surpass that $10 amount in one go, let alone potentially repeating that 30 times each month. So I think where to start is to talk about the fact that why do the vendors that operate outside of the actual theater chains, what is their initial struggle just from a business plan perspective? And I think it goes to the easy point that movie theaters only make, let's say rough estimate, they only make about 20 to 30% of their revenue, let alone their profits, on movie ticket sales at all anyway. The bulk comes from the markup on concessions.
Yeah.
So an outside company, if I'm paying MoviePass even $50 a month, and let's say that gives me 10 showings a month, whatever the price point is for the participating theater I'm going to, MoviePass has to pay that theater that amount. So I pay MoviePass $50, then I go to see a nighttime weekend movie that costs $12. Well, MoviePass then has to eventually transfer $12 to that theater. And every time I go see that $12 movie, MoviePass has to transfer $12 to that theater. So in that example, as soon as I've effectively seen 4 movies, by the time I see my 5th, MoviePass has already lost money on my account alone for that billing period.
Yeah.
So you take it down to, and once I'm in the theater, MoviePass is not in a position to have any additional revenue drivers, but the theater does. The theater hasn't lost any money on the ticket sale at that point, and they get to reap all of their typical profits on concessions, presuming that I spend money in that area. So you drop the price down to $10 a month, And MoviePass just started bleeding money off the bat so quickly that in less than a year, it really just crumbled. They're technically still in operation, but they are like literally hundreds of millions of dollars in debt.
And I think they may still be in business, but I'm and you could probably attest to this. They've changed their pricing models and what is offered for different price points 3 or 4 times between now and then.
Oh, easily. So actually, I did find I was happy to find this. There was a New York Times article from late last year that actually, literally, the way that it was written was precisely what I was hoping to be. I'm sorry, it was released in July of 2018, this article.
They give you like a timeline of events?
It literally does. Like, it's kind of like a timeline history of MoviePass. So it actually started out in 2011 in San Francisco. And they had an initial offering, but they had 10,000 people sign up for the service launch in a single day. And so many theaters, whether it was a chain, whether it was, independents, they were so apprehensive about participating that even though they had subscribers, nobody would accept them.
Right.
So they basically shut down and tried to reformulate. So about 16 months later, late 2012, they roll out sort of the next incarnation. And their initial plans, they go out ranging between between like $30 and $35 a month. And again, unfortunately, the information I was finding was not necessarily then saying like what that got you. Did it only get you 1 movie a month? Did it get you 1 a week? Did it get you 2 a week? Did it get you unlimited a month?
See, I was always in the impression it was the same plan, that you could see 1 movie a day as long as you're paying the subscription. The only thing that changed was the price point for the subscription.
It very well may have. So that seems like they rolled along for the better part of 2.5 years until, as I said, the late summer of 2017 is when they dropped the price to $9.95 a month. More than 150,000 people signed up in 2 days. So it's also around this time that, because of that influx, they got some bad press because they got behind being able to manufacture and send out the debit cards that are used for the service, because basically how this would work, as opposed to like a theater specific subscription that is offered by that theater, and you'll see later with one of its competitors that they kind of ran into the same pothole. MoviePass had a relationship with, I believe it was MasterCard. So you sign up for MoviePass. MoviePass then sends you a MasterCard debit card. When you would want to see a movie, which you would be limited by signing up only the day of, you could not reserve tickets in advance. It would have to be the day of. You would go into the MoviePass app, select your movie, select your showtime, and this is all presuming that the theater you want to see it at has agreed to participate and work with MoviePass, because they have to feed them certain data in order for everything to sync up. They have to feed them their schedule and their showtimes and all that. So you would pick your movie, MoviePass loads the ticket price based on that day and time, whether it's a matinee on a weekday or a nighttime show on a weekend, whatever it is. MoviePass pretty instantaneously loads that money onto that debit card, and then say like within 5 minutes you can go up to the ticket counter at that movie theater and buy your ticket. It's also basically at the same time that an outside company called Helios and Matheson buys a controlling stake in the MoviePass company. They put $27 million into the company to buy a controlling stake, but that also means that they then own the majority of the debt as well. So things started to fall apart fairly quickly. By the end of 2017, only about 4 months after they dropped the price to $10 a month, they have about 1 million new subscribers. not only from an operational standpoint are they having, like I said, difficulty in making sure that they're keeping up, getting everybody their debit cards on time and being able to field questions when there are technical problems. They're also just starting to bleed money like no tomorrow.
I feel like that's sort of what we talked about when we first talked about this, when it was first making headlines around there too, right? We were talking about the inability for people to get cards.
Yes.
And lack of customer service for people that needed help with stuff. I think all that was making waves right after it dropped in price.
Right. And for at first you would say like, well, okay, that kind of makes sense. It's almost like a website crashing when you don't anticipate the traffic. You know, you're not sure what's going to come, so you have to roll with the punches when there's something major that changes. So that if that had gotten smoothed out and that was the only problem they were going to have, that probably could have been forgiven.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem that you're going to face with anything like that is it sounds great on paper for your customers, but as a company, this isn't health insurance where you're banking on the fact that most people aren't going to use the service they're paying for.
Correct.
And that's the problem, is that they thought people would buy the service and not use it, and that was not the case.
Yeah, I think they were pulling numbers that are thinking like, oh, the average moviegoer goes to the theater 3 times a month.
Well,
so we're only losing a little bit.
And funny you said that specifically, because that comes up in one of the comments a little later on in the timeline. But go ahead, I cut you off. Sorry.
I was saying if you remove the cost of movie tickets, which sometimes is a lot for seeing a movie, and you can dumb that down to $10 a month is what I spend on movies. So if I plan on seeing one movie a month, I may as well get this and then just go to every movie I kind of want to see. And,
exactly.
You know, if even 10% of their base uses it 5 times a week, they're fucked.
If 10% of the base uses it 4 times a month, they can be in a lot of trouble at that price point.
Right. It's just it's so far-fetched to think that people aren't going to use your service and therefore you don't really have to charge for it. And you're basing your business model on people not using what they're paying you for.
That is absolutely what they are hoping happens, in addition to I think they had more grand plans to be able to be in a position where they could demand like high advertising fees on their website and their app. I remember, I think we did talk about this the first time around as well, that they envisioned themselves becoming sort of a movie hub where other vendors such as IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and these other things would want to partner with them and kind of create, like, come to the MoviePass site to begin your, movie-going experience, to pick your ticket, to look for your showtime, to look up the movie, to find the actors, to look at reviews. But they couldn't sustain the service of their own product long enough to be able to get that vision. A couple months go by and they stumble along, but by April of 2018, they're around 3 million subscribers. And I like this article. There's a quote from someone at the controlling company now that says, at this point they have lost. They're in the negative revenue. They've lost $20 million a month since September of 2017. So at this point, they have lost about $160 million. They're in the hole that much based on just operation, let alone innovation and advancement and redesign and etc. So my tipping point personally came... so let me back up a step. So I think I mentioned this previously, but when my wife and I previously left employment from working a second job at a movie theater in which we had free movies as an employee perk. We left there in early March 2018, and we had seen MoviePass in practice, and although we, even on the show, had talked about the problems at that time, the two of us figured there's a price point where you can get in on, and we'll probably still be able to profit from it even if they collapse. So let's just ride it out till they collapse, because we'll still get more out of it than we pay into it.
I think when we talked about it, probably on the show, I think it was on the show. I'm hoping it's on the show somewhere. I don't remember what show now, but I feel like when we talked about it before, you were like, we realize this is a sinking ship, but it's too good to pass up. We're going to get into it, even if we get on for just a year. And then after a year, by that time it'll be gone. We'll just deal with it. I don't even think you made it a year.
We hardly made it 4 months. Things first blew up publicly in July. Early July of 2018. The first bad experience I had, we went to see Ant-Man and the Wasp opening night. And we're at a local theater. Not a chain, just an independent theater, but one that did participate with MoviePass. And we could not get the reservation to work. We tried for like 20 minutes on both of our phones. We have separate phones. She has an iPhone, I have an Android. Like, nothing was working. So we had to pony up and pay for the tickets because we were standing outside of the theater. Then the real hammer dropped about 2 or 3 weeks later when Mission Impossible Fallout was about to release.
I think that's what I remember making headlines.
Without informing its current subscribers, MoviePass was in such debt that it literally ran out of money. It had to take, I know it was in here. It had to take like an emergency. Oh, here it is. MoviePass, July 2018. MoviePass suffers a service outage and borrows $5 million after admitting it cannot pay its bills. So it's also at this time. Now, here was the problem, and really what I blew up on it. It made these public announcements like 5 days after it blocked and restricted its own users' activity.
Yeah.
Without telling its users that the activity would be disrupted. So between July and say the end of 2018, it went through, I'm not kidding you, like 4 or 5 different incarnations of restrictions. It actually goes back slightly earlier than that. It really started with the opening of Infinity War.
Right, okay.
It was literally like the week before that they announced that you would not be allowed to see the same movie twice. You could still see a movie a day.
That would be the movie that everyone would repeat every day.
And I'm assuming, this is my guess, after going through the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, especially with Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
Black Panther made so much money domestically, and if even a small portion of those people were on MoviePass, you could have seen Black Panther. Like, the numbers that movie brought in, people really did see that movie 3, 4, 5 times in a theater.
Even you think end of 2017 would have been Last Jedi in there, too.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So those 2 big ones, I'm sure, really contributed to that. So the first restriction they laid down was you cannot see the same movie twice ever. You can still see a movie a day, but you cannot see the same movie again. As it gets closer to July, they start then kind of teasing the idea that what they will actually do is they will have peak pricing where they'll select certain show times of certain movies that it'll still be covered, but you'd actually have to pay like an extra $1.50 if you want to see, Mission Impossible Friday opening night at 7:30. It then evolved into just like the app, even though it didn't tell you, the app was just non-functional for days at a time. There was no message telling you that, it just wasn't working. They went through like 13 different incarnations of price plans and features and all this stuff. And I think like during most of the month of August, I was in an email battle with their customer service, telling them that they are going to have a class action lawsuit on their hands. For folks like me who, like, Sarah and I had both paid an annual subscription up front. So we basically got billed for a whole year at a slightly discounted rate. But I'm like, you've changed the terms of use after we have paid for certain terms of use.
And I imagine you're not the only one that did that, because
Oh, no.
as soon as they would change something, within a week later, they'd try to change it back because everyone would get pissed off.
Right. And so I was constantly told by customer service that this was not allowed. We were in the middle of a thing, and I was happy to cancel my service, but they weren't going to refund me anything. I was like, well, that's not how that works. So after they were telling me this for like 3 weeks back and forth, lo and behold, about the end of August 2018, we get an email from MoviePass saying they're revamping everything, and for those who have previously paid for annual subscriptions, they will offer prorated refunds. So we effectively we got a little bit less back than I calculated we should have for the time frame.
Yeah.
But we effectively got like half back of what we paid up front, which was,
Okay.
I think up front we paid like $105 for the year.
Yeah.
And I think we got like $50 back.
Okay.
As it
Still
stands,
better than I thought you would have got. So.
Oh, very, very much so. And this was the funny part. So in August, early August, that says MoviePass reduces the number of movies that subscribers can see from 1 a day, which would be effectively 28 to 31 a month, depending on the month, from 1 a day to only 3 a month, which is basically where they remain now. This quote from the CEO, though, Mike, I think this goes to exactly what you just said earlier, which was he's saying that the CEO justifies the cuts by saying most people don't see more than 3 movies a month. Quote, they will not be affected at all by this program. And even better, they'll stop hearing MoviePass is going out of business, end quote. But here's the point. I went and saw, number one, when I worked at a theater and got free movies, do you think I would have paid to see Wish Upon or Incarnate? I probably wouldn't have paid to see Wrinkle in Time like I did with MoviePass. When the terms change, when the factors change, people will change behavior.
Yeah.
So the notion that, if I'm only paying $10 a month, am I only going to go to the movies 3 times if cost and budget is a huge contributing factor to that decision? Of course it's going to change. So for him to try to spin it that way, I thought was either... I don't even want to say either. I think it was really just trying to spin bullshit.
Yeah.
As opposed to... like really being out of touch. I don't think he's out of touch. He just realized, well, if you look at the average person who pays full price for a movie ticket, the average person may go to the movies 3 times a month.
Now, I don't know if you have this information in front of you. Is the CEO that made that quote, is that the same guy that started the company back then? Because I feel like they've gone through CEO changes.
They've definitely at least gone through certain leadership changes. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I thought I remember reading stuff, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But the guy I thought that was originally part of MoviePass that made this subscription change to $10 a month was someone that had a history of failed businesses.
That I could not definitely confirm with what I have available right now.
And after I think MoviePass was on the verge of bankruptcy, or if they filed for it, or whenever they were massively in debt, I think is when that guy finally got let go.
That would not surprise me.
And they brought somebody else in to try to right the ship. Because now,
that would not surprise me.
I think they're trying to spin it like, well, MoviePass is a brand now. People know the name. They know what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but it doesn't do that thing anymore.
Right. No one trusts it anymore because you've heard so much bad shit about it.
Yes.
So they're trying to save face. I don't think it's working, but...
Now, two last news points about the timeline I'll hit. November 2018, the parent company of MoviePass reports that it lost $130 million over its last quarter. So let's say the quarter is like typical operating quarters. That's July, August, and September. If this is being reported in November. So just in 3 months, its operating loss was $130 million in 3 months. During which time it also saw a, quote, significant decline in subscribers. So people are jumping ship like no tomorrow. And that's probably a lot of the people, they had a monthly subscription option, of course. They also had a quarterly. So when we signed up, there was monthly, quarterly, or annual. And then, of course, if you, like, for the annual, you were locked into that price for the year. You paid one upfront price at the end of that year. If prices had changed, you would then be subject to the new prices.
Right.
Same thing with monthly, same thing with quarterly. At the end of the current period, if prices had changed, you would then have the option to re-up or, get out.
Yeah.
In December, at the end of last year, they announced their new structure that will go forward. They will have a 3-tiered subscription taking effect January 1st. Each plan will offer members access to 3 films per month, and prices will vary based on where the customer resides. So even their pricing scheme isn't very predictable.
Yeah.
And I did go to their website and try to figure it out. For, I think it's 12 or something dollars a month or something now. Oh no, they're up to 20, I think it's $20 or $22 a month for 3 movies a month.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me.
So, I mean, check your own region, go to MoviePass.com, put your zip code in, they'll give you your options. But at the very most, regardless of how much you are requesting, at most, their plan will only give you access to 3 showings in a given month.
Well, that's
that is the best you're going to get.
To break even.
Exactly.
So you might not even be actually saving money with that plan at all if you see 3 movies with MoviePass.
Depending, let's say you saw all matinees at a theater that's reasonably still around the $6 to $7 price for a matinee, right. You might technically lose money or just about break even, but I don't think you're going to get ahead unless you're going to nighttime shows or you're a fairly frequent theater goer.
Now, do they have any special pricing, or does it do anything for 3D shows or IMAX shows? Or
as far as I can tell, they have 0 option for upgrades.
So you have to see 2D movies.
2D movies, and I don't think it includes IMAX.
Okay.
It is basic format 2D. Again, double check me on that, listeners, if you go to check it out for yourself. But I believe that's where they are.
I mean, realistically, we're not suggesting MoviePass is a viable option. We're going over why it sucks so bad. So you just don't pick this one at all.
This is true. However, like I said, maybe you're in an area that doesn't have a theater chain subscription program, and this is something you at least maybe want to weigh and look at as an option. So, like I said, go ahead and look into it and find your own conclusion. But my experience is that it is not only it's run by people who don't have a clear idea of what they need to do, but I like I said from the beginning, I think the notion of an outside vendor making this profitable is just doomed. I don't think it can be done because the only way they make money, as you guys have said multiple times, they make money when people do not use this product.
Yeah.
It is extremely difficult for them to find a profit margin. So I don't see long-term, or even, I mean, in this case, it was barely short-term viability once they, dropped the price down so low.
So what he's saying, kids, is that you need to sign up for MoviePass, not use it, so that the company can remain solvent, because nobody's using the service they're paying for.
Pretty much.
If you want MoviePass to stay in business, yes, subscribe to them, but do not use. If
you are a super fan of MoviePass,
if you really want to make a donation that you cannot get a tax deduction on,
charitable cause.
Sign up, or better yet, go to the ATM, get $20 out a month, go home to your backyard and just set it on fire.
Bonfire for $20.
Yes. Now, to give you a quick idea, what we were able to get out of MoviePass during the time that we had it, which was basically late March through, say, early July of 2018. So really maybe a 3.5 month period. Like I said, up front, we paid an annual cost, and it was $105. Now, based on what the ticket prices would have been for the shows that we saw, I saw 15 movies with MoviePass during that time. If I had paid face value for the tickets for all of those shows, I would have paid about $153.
Okay. So you made
So
out.
even out of the 3.5 months, as you can already see, I saved about $47.50 just in that time, and then they ended up reimbursing me about another $50 from my subscription because they were trying to get annual pass holders out.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's just one slight illustration of how much they would just, as I've said before, just bleed money like no tomorrow.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, when we first talked about it, like, anyone with a basic understanding of economics realized that company was doomed from the start. And I feel like probably one of their ultimate goals was to get people into theater, which they've succeeded, but I don't know what the plan was once they got people into theater. Like, yes, you're
Right.
getting more people to see movies, you are supporting the industry that you are trying to get people to subscribe to, you're keeping theaters in business because people are then spending the money they're not spending on tickets on concessions, which then helps the theater, so those theater chains stick around. But if you're still footing the bill to get people in the door, like, I don't know, the logic there doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. And now that their relationship with major movie chains, especially AMC, which I believe is the largest chain in the country, is so fractured, you know, there might be certain parts of the country that MoviePass like isn't accepted at some of those chains.
Because I don't remember if there was, I felt like there might have been other chains besides AMC, but I do remember AMC coming out themselves and saying that we're not going to try to accept MoviePass because they recognize that the company's going to implode. They didn't want to be anywhere near it.
Yeah, they didn't initially, and then actually in that New York Times article I was using as a guideline, it had said that in 2014, like late 2014, the theater industry for some reason saw in their eyes that attendance was lackluster overall. So AMC was actually one of the first major chains to come back to MoviePass and say, okay, we'll try this.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
So, I mean, that relationship was in place, at least to some extent, for almost 3 years before MoviePass dropped the price to $10. And then once they did that, AMC didn't pull out entirely, but at some point, I think they did. And then since then, they've launched their own service. And to be honest, I don't know if they have gotten back with them or not. They may have now with this restructured, these restructured options for MoviePass, but I don't even know.
See, I feel like it's almost like the streaming services now. If AMC is trying to promote their own subscription service to go see movies through their theater chain, I don't feel like they would accept a competitor's service.
Well, I thought about that. I think the only possible advantage to that is, and we'll get into what AMC offers, but AMC sort of has the same incentive as MoviePass to the extent that they will make the highest profit margin in some degree the less people use what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Because even though... So let's say you use MoviePass, $12 goes to the theater. The theater maybe only keeps $3 of that.
Right.
$9 goes to the production company, the distributor, the filmmakers, etc. All of that. AMC still has to do the same thing. So even if I am paying AMC $20 a month, and I go see a movie that's going to cost $12, AMC, they don't necessarily need to pay themselves $3 out of that 12, but they still need to pay the movie studio $9.
Right.
They've already gotten some money from me up front in my subscription cost, but their hope, I can only presume, is that over the course of that visit or that month, that I am again, I'm buying concessions, I'm doing other things that are going to make up the revenue loss that they have to put out the door to the studios for the movies they carry.
Yeah.
So, but it seems to be like they at least have that other revenue driver. They have somewhere else that they can generate money from, whereas MoviePass didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I found some information on what I guess would be called their MoviePass's closest competitor. Do you guys have anything you wanted to throw in before I kind of go through their options really quickly? They basically have all the same potholes to overcome, so we don't need to revisit that.
I can't think of anything. I feel like anything that I thought of, I think I said.
Agreed.
Mike, anything else? No?
Okay. A direct competitor, as far as I can tell, to MoviePass in the same sort of, hey, book your movies with us, we'll give you a way to, go to anything. Now, to be fair, this is an important point. The one thing that MoviePass or this other company called Sinemia, 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 the one thing that they do offer is portability, presuming that the theater that you want to go to participates. When we had MoviePass for those couple of months, we weren't locked into just going to an AMC theater.
Right.
We could go to AMC or Cinemark. We could go to our local independent theaters like the Manor Theater in Squirrel Hill in Pittsburgh. We could go to the Hollywood in Dormont. As long as those theaters have agreed to participate, you can take it anywhere.
Right.
Whereas obviously AMC is only good at their own theaters, and Cinemark as well, vice versa. So Sinemia looks like at the moment, it has like 6 different options at different price points. I don't know if it's worth mentioning. It appears that they are currently holding a Valentine's season sale. God only knows if these are like their actual prices that they always advertise as always being on sale to make it look like you're saving a whole lot, but who knows? So they range from anywhere from $4 a month to $20 a month. So they have 6 different options. So for $4 a month, you can get 1 ticket per month. That's it.
Okay.
So it says any theater, no blackout dates. You can do advanced ticketing. I don't believe you can. I apologize for my shortcoming on this. I don't know if you can now do advanced ticketing with MoviePass or not. But with Sinemia, you can. You can do advanced ticketing, so it doesn't have to just be day of the show. And it does say it has a rollover ticket feature. So presuming that you don't use your 1 ticket per month, it's still, in month 2, you now have 2 tickets.
Right. Okay.
Right. So that's $4 a month. I believe this is also restricted by, some of these are, unless it specifically says, are restricted by format. So these basic ones are, they have 4 options that they call classic, 2 that are plus. The 4 classics are 2D basic format only.
Okay.
So for $7 a month, you can get 2 tickets per month. For $9 a month, you can get 3 tickets per month. And based on the sale price of what they say, this Valentine's Day promotion they have going on, these prices that I'm telling you now look like they are pretty steep. They're like 80% off.
Yeah.
Because they're saying normally the 3 tickets per month instead of $9 is normally $33.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
So again, take it as a grain of salt. I don't know if they actually normally charge $33 a month, or they just like to make it look like you're always saving money and they always have a promotion. Who knows?
Probably, because I can't see $33 a month being viable. There's a lot of theaters that don't even charge $11 a ticket.
Right. So it's difficult to tell, but like I said, I will at least admit that since I don't have the data beforehand, it's a possibility. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And the last classic tier for $20 a month says a movie every day. So just like MoviePass's old mantra, a movie every day, 30 tickets per month. Now this is kind of insane. This also says that this has a rollover feature. So does that particularly mean that if you didn't use all 30 tickets, that whatever you didn't use goes into the next month, and the month after that, and the month after that?
So potentially, if we don't use enough, we could eventually be watching 5 movies a day for a whole month?
No, probably not, because you're probably still restricted by only seeing one movie a day.
Just means when your subscription's over, you're still going to have a backlog of 60 movies that you have to see.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, if that's how it works out, then a movie every day, the fact that there's a rollover feature doesn't give you any advantage.
Yeah,
I feel like
because you
that's
can never
something they
see
just
more than
forgot
one movie
to
a day.
Delete from the features of that choice.
Yeah, it could. They could have done a copy and paste job.
Yeah.
Now they're saying this tier normally costs $90 a month. Now, in theory, let's say you're retired or on, a disability, but certain things, whatever your situation
Unemployed.
is. Hey, whatever it is, if you would go to the movies 10 times a month at almost $10 a ticket, depending on when you went, like even at $90, would that eventually pay for itself if you did that consistently? And would you possibly get ahead? Yeah, you could. I think that's a very narrow population that would benefit, but is it possible? Well, yeah, I suppose.
If your job is reviewing every movie that comes out very thoroughly.
Well, if it's your job, you're probably getting your ticket comped or reimbursed by your employer.
That's what they have the press passes for.
Or
like,
they could
unless
be,
you run
or you could
like
be like
a movie blog website.
I was going to say, you could be like us, where it's our job to report on this stuff.
Right. Yeah, like if we did that, then yeah, potentially. Now, when you get into their 2+ tiers, this just gives you access to the same other features, and it throws in now. It says an experience in 3D, IMAX, 4DX, and more per month. Now, they only have 2+ tiers. The first one is for one ticket a month at $6. And so the difference between the regular at one a month, it's an extra $2 a month, and that only gives you the option of potentially doing like a 3D or IMAX. The other plus tier is only 2 tickets per month, and it's $9. So, and again, same thing. It only gives you the option of attending 3D or IMAX movies. And in this wording, where it says it has all the features of the classic plans and an experience in 3D or IMAX. So for the 2 ticket per month, does that mean you can only use one of them for 3D IMAX and the other has to be regular format? Like, I'm not trying to split hairs just to be a dick, but I don't think their wording is very clear.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
There was a, I brought these guys up because in a lot of what I was finding, reviewing, researching what happened to MoviePass, this company was quoted as kind of, swooping in last summer and trying to siphon off a lot of MoviePass's customers. They dropped their price points. They did some direct advertising. So they were quoted as like really trying to take advantage of MoviePass's negative publicity and their shortcomings and everything.
It's kind of funny because I feel like I haven't heard of this company at all.
I didn't before I was doing this either. But not too long after that, they started getting a lot of criticism from their own users anyway, because they tried to promote themselves as being a smoother experience. It's easier to use us, and it's a more reliable price point, and you know exactly what you're going to get. One of the ways that they tried to streamline things was, instead of having this debit card that you had to load and keep with you and all the, everything that goes along with that, they just had an app that you would then take to the theater, and then somehow that could interact with, buying your ticket. But the problem was, especially for doing online ticket purchases at theaters, you were still then having to pay that theater the convenience charge, the online service fee.
Okay. Yeah.
So even if it's covering your $10 ticket, if that theater has a $2 convenience charge to do it online, you're still paying another $2 every ticket over and above whatever your subscription cost to Sinemia is.
Right, okay.
So they started to get a lot of flack about that, And so then they gave in and said, okay, we'll give people the debit card option if they want, which would in theory eliminate the online fees, because it would at least cover the cost of that or whatever. Or you could at least take the card to, you could take the card like, into the box office and use it there. But then the problem was then they were charging people $15. It's either $15 flat or $15 a month to just have the card. Okay, it's $15 flat. So it's a one-time charge of $15 to then have that card option in effect.
All right, that's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
By like specifically promoting what they're choosing to do as a better option, but then when the shortcomings of that are brought up, they're like, oh, okay, well, if you want to go back to what you had, then it's going to cost you more.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for the overview of the non-theater services.
So for both of those, MoviePass and the other one, I can't even remember the name already.
So I'm going to call it Sinemia. That's how I'm pronouncing it.
Okay, Sinemia. Is there a way for people to because you said not all theaters accept those? Is there a way for the consumer to figure out what theaters accept either of those services?
That is a good question. I know on their websites they will give you their pricing structures based on where you tell it you are. So basically, like you put your zip code in and it gives you your pricing structure for whatever region of the U.S. you live in.
Yeah.
I don't believe, as far as I could find, I don't believe it had a strict like reference list.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking someone decides, I'm going to sign up for this. This sounds good. They sign up and then they get their card and then they go to a theater to try to use it and then find out it's not accepted.
Yeah. Now, if you go deeper into the sign up process, it may give you some of that information if you wanted to check that.
Yeah.
I did not go far enough in to see if they eventually bring that up, but it didn't look like there was an easy reference link, like, see who participates in your area.
Because, that wouldn't surprise me. Some of the stuff sounds shady as it is, so I would not be surprised if they don't tell you what's active and what's not.
Right.
Yeah, they're hoping that's how they hope that people sign up for it and don't use it to make their pyramid scheme work.
Right.
At that point, they've got your money, so what do they care?
Yep.
Yeah. Dirty capitalists. Now, so before we break into what some of the major theater chains, at least in the greater Pittsburgh area, northeast region of the U.S. that we're in, offer around, let me ask you guys, do either of you belong to anything like this with any of the chains?
No.
Yes.
And which is that, Brian?
I signed up for the Cinemark one.
Okay, and why did you choose that?
Mainly because that was the theater chain that I frequent the most. And I think, not to jump ahead or anything, but I think their plan was like $9 a month that pays for a free movie. You get free movie every month that then rolls over if you don't use that free credit.
Correct.
And then it's 20% off concessions.
Correct.
So in my mind, if I see one movie, I'm paying for that monthly fee.
Sure.
And then as much as I get concessions, I'm saving money from the concessions, so it sort of pays itself off between one movie ticket and one trip to the concession stand. I've paid that subscription fee.
Damn red vines.
Okay.
Get me every time.
Yeah, so you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that. Now, may I ask, in your case, you said Cinemark is where you frequent the most. Do you not have an AMC chain nearby, or it's not as close by, or just in general, it's not where you end up?
I think more the latter. I know the one theater that's up by the mall, Westmoreland Mall, in Greensburg, they changed over to AMC, but that theater's pretty shitty, so I don't go there that often.
Okay. Maybe it was one of the ones that used to be a Carmike.
Right, yes. Okay. That and Delmont both went to AMC. Both of them used to be Carmike. Both theaters are not in the best shape.
Gotcha.
And typically they were a lot more expensive, especially than Cinemark in Monroeville, which is the one where I frequent.
Okay.
The AMC at the waterfront I enjoy. I really like that theater. I just hardly ever go out to the waterfront.
Okay.
It's a bit of a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great theater. The good AMC theaters, I think, are better than the good Cinemark theaters, but there's so few of them. There's so many good Cinemark theaters around that you're probably going to find more people with easy access in our area to a Cinemark.
Yeah.
Like, Josh, I'll let you explain what the plan is. I think AMC is the better plan.
Yeah, I mean...
If I frequented AMC theaters more often, I would probably do that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Cinemark for me was just the one I decided to try, and I've stuck with it for a while now.
Sure. And I mean, as we go through things, I mean, maybe from something I describe with AMC, you know, maybe you'll decide to maybe not sign up fully with both, but there might be some other options. There's basically multiple tier options that AMC offers. Okay. Some that are completely free, some that are like a one-time annual fee at a pretty low rate, and then they have like their newer monthly subscription. But you hit the nail on the head pretty much with Cinemark. They just call their program the Cinemark Movie Club. Round it off to round up the cents a few. It comes out to $9 a month. Brian was right. You get one adult ticket in a 2D format only. There are upcharges for premium formats. You can technically use it, but there's some kind of surcharge for that. It is good for any movie at any time. So they're not cherry picking. They're not blacking out popular movies at popular times or anything like that.
Right.
You can book your tickets online on their app or at the box office. You can use it to reserve seats if the particular theater that you're going to has a reserve structure in place for that particular building or that particular auditorium. They waive all online fees, so you're not going to pay convenience charges or service fees or anything online.
I like that too. That part's nice.
That's a big one, yeah. And I was always happy about that with any of these programs. As he also said, yes, if you don't use your one included ticket that month, it does roll over to the next month. And I believe so. Sarah is also signed up on Cinemark as in addition to us both being on AMC. And there's been times where we haven't gone to a Cinemark in like 3 or 4 months. But she has built up then like 3 or 4 tickets.
Right.
So yeah, depending on what's nearby you and how much you do and do not get to different places, this could be this could look attractive to you.
And to be honest, I don't know what other Cinemarks are priced, but the one in Monroeville is a very cheap theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's a $4 afternoon, anything before 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever the cutoff is. $4 for a 2D movie. $6 after that for the evening movie.
Even on weekends?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
So, but the movie, like the movie club for that pays for basically a $9 ticket. So if I go in the afternoon,
mm-hmm.
I usually waive using my free movie on a $4 ticket. I'll just pay the $4.
Sure. So in that case, when you're going to a movie that's only costing $6, like really, what's the difference at that point?
Yeah, occasionally I'll use it on the more expensive ones, but I've done a lot. I've basically saved my free movies for the XD screen, which is usually like $8.50, closer to the $9 that I'm paying.
Oh, okay.
And that counts for a free pass. So I usually use them for the more expensive type of theater and just pay the cheaper movie ticket.
Okay.
So in that sense, I haven't seen an XD movie in a while. So I have like 4 or 5 free passes currently sitting in my account right now.
I gotcha. And then, as you said, you're still getting, even once you're in the door at your $4 out of pocket, you're then, well, hey, I still get my 20% off concessions.
Exactly.
You don't have to, you're still getting the discount on concessions, whether or not on that specific trip you have used your one included ticket from the program.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. No, the other thing that I think is a little bit of a downfall on this is that you can purchase additional tickets through that membership at a what they're calling a discounted rate for $9. And again, I'll agree with you. I think the Cinemark at Monroeville is an anomaly.
Yeah, I think that's the exception.
I think the one which is strange because I think that theater's in really good shape. It's relatively brand new still.
Yeah,
it's like less than 6 years old.
Monroeville itself and the mall kind of sucks, but that theater's nice.
Yeah, and so it's not like a crumb theater for discount. It's just that's the price point that they selected to operate on. Now, if you go to the one out in Settlers Ridge toward Robinson, I think you're going to run into what you call like more traditional pricing out there.
Right.
So these 2 additional tickets you can get at $9, that might be worthwhile. So you're going to the movies with some friends. okay, I'll just get all the tickets together right now in one transaction. Oh, they're $11 tonight on Friday night, but I can get them for $9. That's great. The only thing that I think it's a bummer is you can only do up to 2 additional ones. So if you have a
bigger group,
yeah, you're not screwed per se, but you have no more discount to pass around.
Right.
I tried to confirm this with Sarah. She thinks that it does exist. You can tell me if you remember this. Does the program have a birthday perk?
Ooh.
So your birthday rolls around your birthday month. Does it give you anything, an extra discount, or they comp you a popcorn or anything like that?
That's a good question, because we are in my birthday month, and I don't remember seeing anything.
So she couldn't quite recall. She thought it was maybe like a free large popcorn or like a medium popcorn with a drink or something, but she couldn't recall off the top of her head. And I looked back on their website 3 different times to see if it explicitly would tell me that, and it's not. So if that's part of the program, then they're dropping the ball in conveying that.
Yeah, I'll try to look at the app while you guys continue and
yeah.
Vamp and stuff. I'll see if I can see any coupons sitting in my app.
Surely. Aside from this program, Cinemark, they also do have a basic free points program that doesn't cost you anything to sign up with. If you are a member of the movie club, your purchases do also earn you points in that same structure. And as you earn points, that's going to get you stuff, toward additional things like, additional movie tickets or free concessions, et cetera, et cetera. And that exists whether you're a movie club member or not. You can sign up for that for free with Cinemark. I'd say the one small advantage that Cinemark has over AMC, at least at the beginning, is there's no initial contract period. So it's purely month to month. You don't have to have any initial commitment. But AMC's is, I feel, pretty generous anyway. So it's not that much of a gamble, but definitely, when you look at something like MoviePass or the others where you might, I think I should backtrack. I think, Sinemia, whatever their price point is, they charge on the annual basis. So even if you're signing up at the, $5 a month price point, they're actually going to charge you for the whole year up front.
Oh, okay.
Whereas Cinemark and AMC only charge you month to month as you go.
Right, okay.
I feel like the whole charging for a year ahead of time thing's going to blow up in Sinemia's face. Given their current pricing format, I don't know.
Well, I think they do it because they're always trying to get ahead of the cash flow. So even though they know that you might be costing them money every month from month 3 and on, they got all of your year's money up front. And they can, in theory, that can help them with the bleeding that is occurring from the people who have already been their customers for a while.
The business format's just...
Oh, it doesn't. It still blows. That's the only rationale I can come up with, though.
Yeah, it's bad. It's definitely bad. But, well.
It is.
So looking at my app, I did not see any birthday coupons, so I don't think either they didn't do it or I don't see it anywhere.
Gotcha.
It'd be fun if you went to the theater and they just threw some confetti at you for the hell of it.
Yeah, I scan my phone, that little barcode whenever I get a ticket, and they're like, "Papa!"
They glitter bomb you before you go into your movie.
Yeah.
So, I think we can move on to my last little section of notes here, which is sort of reviewing the AMC theater chain offerings. Now, I'm like 100% polar opposite from where you are, Brian, at least. And Mike, what... Other than, say, like the Cinemark in Monroeville...
the Pittsburgh Mills is the one that's close to me. That's 10 minutes away.
That's a Cinemark also?
Yeah, that's a Cinemark.
The Mills? Okay. Yeah, okay, so I can absolutely see how those appeal for you guys. Where I previously just got done living for 5 years, and where I live now since last summer, which is only about 6 miles away from where I used to just live, we were sort of situated in this area of the South Hills of Pittsburgh that was like 10 minutes from Homestead, where the waterfront is. There was the theater in West Mifflin where we worked at that was just independently owned. And then we were, maybe 20 minutes from South Hills Village, where there was another AMC at the Galleria shopping area, and previously, like half a mile away up the hill at South Hills Village Mall, was a Carmike. And AMC bought Carmike like 2 years ago. So there are literally 2 AMC theaters a half a mile away from each other.
Yeah.
And both of which, like the one at the mall, at South Hills Village Mall, we can literally drive there in less than 60 seconds.
Jeez.
And the one at the Galleria, even if we hit like every red light, it's maybe like a 4-minute drive.
Yeah.
So we are extremely well positioned in terms of that factor. And then if we, for whatever reason, if we're like trying to coordinate with like, you guys, for instance, like, hey, you're coming from the east, we're a little further like southwest. Like in that case, maybe the waterfront is a better, middle ground for certain people. So even if that's the case, then we still have the one at the waterfront as an option. So in AMC, like when we broke away from MoviePass last summer, by the end of August, we had signed up with AMC, because we're like, all right, their terms look better. We have a history with them. We were part of their other loyalty programs. We'll give this a shot. And they weren't asking for upfront cost. You were just paying. You were being billed month to month, and they also guaranteed their pricing structure for at least 1 year. So whatever price point you came in at the time, they guaranteed they would not raise your prices for at least 12 months.
Okay. So
let's sort of just dip into everything that they offer. So they have actually 3 different things that you can get involved in. Like Cinemark, they have a free like point system kind of tier. It's just called the Insider program. It's a point system. It's a loyalty program. There are some benefits that you get with that are overlapping with the other things, and then other things that of course just drop off as you get into the higher tier stuff. You get more out of them. But the Insider program is free. The Premier, which just used to be called, I think AMC, it was called Stubs, like Ticket Stub. It was called Stubs Premier. That used to be, I want to say, like $20 a year. But when they introduced their new month-to-month program, the actual subscription service called A-List, they rebranded Stubs Premier. They call it just Premier, and it's $15 plus tax per year.
Okay.
So that's it. It's a one-time payment per year. That's it. And then the A-List program is where there's a monthly fee. The prices vary actually by state. It's not horribly by state. There's only 3 different groupings. So I don't know if that was based on like regulations in certain states, or they were like certain states were trying to protect their own like local theater economies or something. But it doesn't get, in my opinion, it doesn't get as confusing as, say, going to MoviePass, putting in your zip code and not knowing what you're about to see.
Right.
And even within A-List, then there's several options within there. So here's some universal benefits. No matter which of those 3 that you go with, they call them exclusive offers, screenings, and more. The screenings I can actually attest to. While Sarah had previously paid the annual fee for the old Stubs Premier program, I never did. I always just stayed on the free points program. But just by being on the mailing list as a Stubs member, we got emails to get invited to a few advanced free screenings at AMC.
Okay.
That exist outside of things other things I've talked about, like GoFobo or signing up with like Warner Brothers or Sony lists. This was just offered through AMC as a theater chain.
Okay.
So even if you're just in the free basic tier, that is every now and then, not very frequently. Maybe it happens like once or twice a year. but it's at least something there that I haven't seen anywhere else. Just for being even on the free level, you get a one free refill on your large popcorn purchase. If you are a Premier or A-list, you get free size upgrades on your popcorn and fountain drinks. So basically you can get a medium by paying for a small. You can get a large by paying for a medium. They do have a birthday perk. If you're a free member, the Insider, it's you get a free large popcorn around the month or time period of your birthday. If you're on the Premier or the A-list, you get a large popcorn and a large fountain drink. It does waive online fees, but you're limited. If you're an Insider and you're on the free program, you only get those fees waived if you're ordering at least 4 tickets. So if you're ordering just 1 ticket or 2 or 3 online, you're still going to pay service charges. If you're on Premier or A-list, no service fees online. It's always waived.
So, just real quick interruption.
Yep.
I'm looking at my AMC app, which I do sign up for the free Stubs thing.
Yep.
I do have a coupon for a free large birthday popcorn.
There you go.
So that worked.
Validation.
It expires the 1st of March, so I gotta get to AMC to get a free popcorn.
There you go.
Well, we got How to Train Your Dragon coming out next
Ooh,
weekend,
right.
I think. But by the time the listeners hear this, it'll be this coming Friday.
All right, sorry for the interruption.
No, I'm
Continue.
glad
We have
you
to
pointed
learn
that
how
out.
to talk in the future better.
Yeah. Future me, all right, past us is telling our future selves. This feels like Bill and Ted now.
Whoa.
Kind of wrap up with a couple of last minute points. So Brian, do you happen to know with the Cinemark program sort of what your point structure is? So you're spending dollars on your monthly subscription, you're spending concession dollars. Do you happen to know like how fast you're accumulating points based on what you spend, and at what levels those points are redeemable for things and what they are?
Tell you the truth, I haven't looked. I don't know if it's like $1 per point, or something like that. To be honest, a lot of the points that I earn, I don't redeem much. I think I redeemed it recently because I remember getting emails that at the end of the year they were basically going to reset your points.
Oh,
and kind of start over.
Okay.
And they offer like, movie related tie-in merch, like swag and stuff like that, if you want to try to get that. The few things that I've seen that I liked, every time I try to redeem for something like that, it'd be like, oh, sold out, or you can't get this. So it's like that. I gave up trying to get some of that stuff. So I would redeem for coupons for in the theater, for like concessions coupons, or at the end of last year, you could redeem for free movie passes just to add more free passes to your account. So I did like 4 or 5 of those just to get rid of my points.
Okay.
But I don't remember what the cost of that was or how many points you earn per purchases and stuff like that. I can't remember.
Would you say you're generally happy or satisfied with whatever it is that, however it's structured at the moment? I mean, it sounds like you're obviously not relying on it per se.
No, and I think that, I have no complaints about it. I think more because I think the theater that I frequent is pretty cheap regardless.
Fair enough.
So I don't have too much to complain about. If I went to a theater that had higher ticket prices where I felt like I was making use of a lot of the free passes more, I might speak more highly of it.
Okay.
Like I know the Mills, if I go to the Cinemark at the Mills, is higher priced than the one in Monroeville, so I would use free passes there, and I feel like I'm getting more use out of the service. For now, I think I'm basically using it just for 20% off concessions when I go, which again still pays for itself after 2 or 3 visits to the theater. So I can't complain about that either.
Fair enough. Well, at least, maybe we can, other listeners, if you use the program as well, chime in on that. Let us know if you think there's a way that they could improve it, or if you are happy with how it accumulates for you.
Josh, real quick,
Yeah.
before we sort of like tie this off, because I feel like we started getting sidetracked and kind of talking all over the place. Can we just do like a rundown, like a bullet point rundown of what the services offer? Do you have that information readily available?
Of like Cinemark versus AMC?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, let me finish off AMC because like getting into the meat and potatoes of what the A list will give you is actually my last little section, and then we can sort of summarize.
Right. Okay.
So the last point to make differentiating between AMC's three general options, the Insider, the Premier, and the A-List, is their points accumulation system. If you're on the free side, on the Insider, like you mentioned you are, Brian, you're going to get 20 points for every $1 you spend.
Okay.
But you need 5,000 points to get a $5 they call it a $5 reward. So that's $5 toward a movie ticket, $5 off concessions.
Right.
So effectively, I did the math. You have to spend $250 before you get $5 back.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
On the free program. With Premier and A-List, you are getting 100 points for every dollar spent. So you only have to spend $50
right
to get $5 back. So you're getting a 10% return, and your especially on the A-List, your monthly subscription cost goes toward that $50. So so
you just use it as basically like a coupon, kind of?
Almost. So like so when we signed up, we signed up at a $20 price point. So every month, at least, that $20 is going toward the $50 that I need to get a $5 coupon.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So if I spent nothing else, if I never bought concessions or anything, basically after my every third month of my subscription, I'm getting that $5 reward.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, obviously, if I see 7 movies a month, just because I'm going to see movies, and I'm utilizing the service, I'm not getting extra points because I'm not spending extra money.
Right.
But at the very least, the monthly amount that I'm spending on the service is contributing toward that goal.
Gotcha.
So real quick, give you the rundown on what A-List, and I do got to say, from a programming standpoint, yeah, it might sound biased and self-serving, but I think A-List is superior to everything else that I've seen. And if there's another chain out there, like I said, that offers some programs that we could look into for people, I'll do that. What the AMC A-List program is going to give you is 3 movies per week, every single week. The cycle runs Friday to Thursday. So every time new movies come out within that 7-day period, you can have 3 movies essentially for free included with your monthly subscription. So basically you can see 12 movies a month for
$20.
$20. You can repeat as much as you want. There's no blackout times. There's no blackout dates. All formats are included. 2D, 3D, IMAX, IMAX 3D, the new Dolby Cinema style that we've seen 1 or 2 together and so far.
Fucking fantastic.
Amazing. They went like full out. Now, to be fair, the only Dolby auditorium that I'm aware of in Pittsburgh right now is one individual auditorium at the waterfront location.
Yeah.
But when they went luxury, they went big. Like the best kind of leather recliners that you could get. They're heated. Like, they put all the bells and whistles in.
It wasn't even that. Like, I was just impressed with the sound design in that theater.
Oh, and on top of that, yeah. I mean, the theater design, I don't even know if that was an IMAX screen or not, but the layout of the room, the way it's engineered, to me, it felt like it. Like, it felt like almost a mix.
It feels really big.
Yeah, it's definitely big. And it's definitely, right now, I think it's obviously the nicest theater you can go to see a movie in the city. Like,
I'd
around
agree
all
to that.
Pittsburgh, it's the best you're going to find right now. Till somebody makes something new and takes it another step further, which will probably just be AMC again, because they're all about the luxury in their theaters.
And I think they see the writing on the wall that there is definitely a willingness for that market. Now I'm not aware that any AMC theaters have D-Box in this region, but if there are theaters in the rest of the country that do, which I think are more like a 4D kind of theater experience, where you have like the seats are moving in accordance with what like motion is happening on the screen, and there might be, I don't know if they go as far as having like the like atmospheric effects. There's some theaters in the country that do that, and it sounds really amazing. But those are accepted. I will read this statement that they have on the website just because I want it to be like transparent. It said, AMC will make reasonable efforts to include every film, but reserves the right to selectively exclude titles on a limited basis. Virtual reality experiences and premium events such as, but not limited to, fan events, private screenings, movie marathons / double features, Metropolitan Opera, broadcasts of sporting events and other showtimes and events, including select showtimes of certain foreign language films, are not eligible and are excluded. I think that's a fair disclaimer to put up, and I think it was good for them to address up front a lot of the things that MoviePass had tried to do. One of the first major revamps that they did, like I said, was saying, well, basically every day of the week for a while, for like a couple week period, what you could use MoviePass for was changing. It wasn't even set for the week. It was like, hey, look at it this morning. What movies and what showtimes am I allowed to use this for? So I haven't seen anything that's been excluded. Like at the moment, we are, set to go see Captain Marvel on its Thursday opening night, that I was able to book and use one of my, my free ticket in advance. And I wasn't even using one of my free tickets for the week at the time that I booked it. I'm effectively reserving one of those slots for the week in the future.
Right.
We could,
I gotcha.
Right. So we could do that online. It's in the Dolby Theater. It's on opening night, but it's not technically the fan event screening.
Okay.
So the fan event screenings they do are mostly pushed and organized by the studios, and they typically include a like package deal where it's like your ticket and a small amount of concession and like maybe a collectible trinket or something's included with it. Those are
still have my Infinity War coin.
There you go. We're not going to that one for Captain Marvel, so you're already going to be lacking in your completism. So sorry
Son
about that.
of a bitch.
So I mean, it just to point out, yes, there are some things that it's slightly limiting, but I think for even the above average movie theater user, it is offering quite a bit. Unused movie times do not roll over, but I don't care about that because, again, that'd be like, up to like 12 movies a month rolling over somewhere? Like, that's fine. I don't care. It is billed monthly. There's no major commitment. The only thing that you commit to, and this looks to be the true still, when we joined, you had to do a minimum 3-month commitment. Okay. So we came in at a $20 price point with a minimum 3-month commitment, but as I said earlier, they guaranteed that $20 price point would not increase for at least a year. So we are locked in. If we want to continue for the first year, we will not pay more than, it's like $19.95 per month, at least for that first 12 months.
How long did you sign up?
We've been signed up since the end of August.
And has the price increased for anybody else yet?
Slightly, yes. And that is the last point here. So the current pricing tiers, you can still get in at $20 a month, which is good in 35 states. The states that are excluded are specifically denoted on the website when you go to sign up for this, and it's very clear. Right now, Pennsylvania is in the $22 a month tier, so it has gone up. It's like $21.95, so it effectively went up $2 a month since we signed up. Same thing where it says it's a minimum 3-month commitment. I could be wrong. I did not find anywhere on the website that it now says that price is guaranteed for 12 months after sign up, but obviously within those first 3 months they can't increase it if they're requiring you to have it. Now, if you want to pay $24 a month, I don't know why you would want to do that per se, but a $24 price point will give you admission in any state no matter where you are. Like I said, PA is in the $22 tier in the middle. They do give you a little bit of flexibility. They said, quote, you may plan outside your designated coverage area at times. People travel on vacation. They live near a state border, etc. It says they will allow you to use it in one of the other, let's say, tiered areas that you're not covered in, up to 3 times each year without an upcharge.
That's fair.
So if I'm in PA and I want to go to one of the other 5 states where it would cost me a little bit more if that's where I permanently lived, I can do that up to 3 times without an upcharge. And I think that's extremely generous.
Yeah, that's...
So, Josh, I don't know how this applies. I'm just on the website trying to look like what it would look like if I'm trying to sign up.
Okay.
It does give me that $22 a month price point, but it does say based on my zip code.
Yes.
Use your membership in most states excludes California, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York.
Yes, that is correct. Those are the other states. Those are the 5 states that you have to be in the $24 price point to use the program.
Was that where you were talking about the up price point? Like, can I go use it there with a little bit of a fee, or is that just can't use it there at all?
You can, and you can use it up to 3 times a year in those other areas before you would get charged additional.
Okay.
So if you're in one of the 35 states that you're at the lowest price point, you're at the $20 point, you have another 15 states that if you found yourself in because you're visiting a friend, you're on vacation, the other 15 states you can use it 3 times in a year before you would be subject to any kind of surcharges.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll close out my experience by just telling you what we've been able to do with A-List so far, because I'm a nerd and I like lists and spreadsheets and shit. So I've kind of tracked month to month what we've seen, what it would have cost, sort of like I did with MoviePass, what our savings is, to see how it's shaken out. So far, from the end of August of 2018 through the end of January 2019, we have seen, I have used it to see 22 movies. I have paid AMC about $100, just shy of $100 in those 5 months. Those movie tickets, though, to see everything I would have seen, those movie tickets would have cost me about $243.
Jeez.
So I have saved $143 already.
I'll take that.
Now, just for comparison, I also wanted to see, all right, well, what if I'm coming into the program now, or if I was coming in at the higher price point, if I'm coming in at the current $22 amount. In theory, if I had seen those same exact movies at $22, I still would have already saved $133.
Yeah.
So that's been our experience with it. Canceling things in advance, like you can, if you book a movie earlier in the day or 2 weeks in advance, you can cancel it up to like 5 minutes before showtime and you're fine. It will open up one of your available slots. If it was extra tickets that you bought, like I can book mine for free for the show, and then I can basically buy unlimited number of extra tickets. At their face value, I don't get a discount on them, but I also don't pay service fees.
Right.
With A-List on any of those other tickets. If I bought 10 extra tickets, I could cancel all 10 of those tickets 5 minutes, up to like 5 minutes before showtime, and get refunded the entire amount that I paid for those tickets, even if I bought them a month in advance. So
Okay.
that has been my experience with A-List so far. It's been reliable, and we really haven't had any problems. So I guess if you'd go side by side between Cinemark and AMC, Cinemark is $9 a month. AMC is either going to be free, $15 a year, or let's call it, at this point, $22 a month. So between Cinemark, you're going to spend about $108 per year just on your subscription program. In Pennsylvania, for AMC, you're looking at about closer to 260, 255 to 260. So it's significantly more. But with Cinemark, you're getting one ticket a month included. AMC, you're getting effectively 12 a month. You're earning points towards additional rewards with both programs. It doesn't look, as far as we can tell, that there's a birthday perk with Cinemark, but there might be. There definitely is one with AMC, even at the free level.
Confirmed.
Yes. Cinemark, you are getting a direct discount off of, I believe, Brian, would you say it's all of your concessions or only specific things?
I think it's everything. I think 20% off all concessions.
Okay, so whether it's just your basic popcorn and fountain drink, or if you're ordering up hot dogs, pizza, soft pretzels, nachos, they got quite a good spread at most Cinemarks. I'll give them that.
Yeah, and to be fair, I haven't tested that theory and tried to get like nachos, hot dogs, pizza, all that stuff. I basically just do popcorn or
Seriously,
drink,
who eats that stuff in the theater? I see all this stuff all the time, and I think, like, if there was somebody eating nachos next to me in the theater and it was a movie I was really intent on listening to, I would be pretty pissed at crunch, crunch, crunch through the whole damn movie.
All the time. People do it all the time. And I think their menu is just about as extensive as AMC's, where you can get like boneless wings or chicken tenders and fries,
right.
And so, like I said, that's one thing that AMC doesn't have going for it. Like I said, you can get the sort of size up on popcorn and fountain drinks at AMC, get a bigger size by paying for a lower size, but you don't get additional discounts if you're getting anything else. Soft pretzels.
I thought AMC said it had 10% off concessions when I was looking.
I didn't see that. I don't believe there's anything on ours that gives you that, because on ours, it, like I said, you just accumulate points based on the dollars you're spending.
Yeah, wait, where the
Though
hell
I could be mistaken. Now, maybe I didn't look hard enough. It could be maybe in the free tier. Maybe that's like an extra little perk you're getting is a slight discount on something, maybe. Because you're not really getting those free upcharges, or free upsizes, rather.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I thought I read that somewhere. I'm looking. No, you're right. I think I'm seeing the same list you went through that says the free upsize and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Could have sworn I seen 10% somewhere. Okay, maybe I'm making that up. I don't know.
Well, if we find 10% for anybody anywhere, we will be sure to let you know so that you can know exactly what the best deal is for you. Trying to look at Cinemark. I mean, like I said, they both are month-to-month billing. You're not really paying upfront costs. You can basically cancel whenever you want to. Cinemark does have the rollover tickets. If you don't use that, one free included one that month, it does carry forward. Although you're limited to the 2D format. And there's the upcharges for the premium formats, whereas AMC includes basically everything. Neither of them have blackout dates, blackout times. They both give you the option to book online through their apps in advance at the box office. They don't really limit you anyway in that way. I think that's about it. It's kind of the rundown.
Here it is, Josh.
What'd you find?
AMC Stubs Premier benefits are complimentary for A-listers. Enjoy 10% back on food and drink purchases, free size upgrades on popcorn and fountain drinks, and priority lanes at the box office and concessions.
10% back was what Josh was talking about with the points program.
I think that's how they're choosing.
Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that before. That's how they're choosing to verbalize it as 10% back, because you get, once you reach $50, then you get the $5 coupon.
That's fair. I gotcha.
Okay. Got it. No, I'm glad we found that, because seeing that language online might otherwise seem to conflict with what we've been talking about. So yeah, I mean, other than kind of blandly ending with, that's all I got for you folks. What do you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
any takeaways?
I feel like it still comes down to convenience. Like, whatever theater is convenient to you, you might be able to jump in on one of these plans if they sound appealing to you. I'm with you. I definitely think the AMC one is the best one for your money.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where it would, if I signed up for that, it would probably make me go out of my way to go to an AMC theater just to be able to utilize that plan fully.
Yeah.
So that might be something to, I might end up switching over maybe eventually if I go through all my Cinemark passes and get to a point where I don't have like a free movie to see that. Like, I've used all my free stuff and I don't have anything to see that month. Maybe I could just cancel it that month and start the AMC stuff. But if I definitely went to AMC more often, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, in my particular case, the closest AMC is about a 40-minute drive. And I may be looking at getting a new car, but I still drive a full-size pickup truck, and that would cut quickly into the discount that I would be obtaining. 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back. That's not cheap in a pickup truck. So that's the whole reason for me why the only one that was even considered was Cinemark. It's a 10-minute drive versus a 40-minute drive. And like Brian said, convenience is going to reign supreme here. You're surrounded by AMC. We're surrounded by Cinemark.
Yeah.
That's going to be the real driving decider here, because, I agree too. The AMC sounds a lot better if you're going to see that many movies. For your average moviegoer, I think Cinemark's a better baseline deal. For somebody that's going to see a ton of movies, AMC is much better.
Now, both of you are kind of shaking out in a different place, and I wonder this. Like, Brian, you said, I get, like, for maybe two reasons, the price point on what tickets are at the Monroeville Cinemark are so low, and you prefer that theater as opposed to the other physical buildings, that AMC has closer to, like, Greensburg. But you're not always cashing in that one free Cinemark ticket. So on the one hand, like, you're paying your $9 subscription fee. Even if you use that, you're then paying an additional $4 or $6 for every additional movie you're seeing there each month.
Right.
So the difference between the 9 and the 22 is $13. So even if you saw like three more movies each month there on the matinee, you're then kind of hitting that AMC price point where, which would still, like, it would cover those 4 movies plus still give you several more that month if you wanted. Does that change your calculus, or is your positive, like, going experience at that particular Cinemark so good that it is, worth it for you to make that trade?
Yeah, probably a little bit of that. Like I said, I think the concessions discount is good enough for me to not worry about using the free passes because of the cheaper ticket price.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be different if they gave you just like a $9 credit.
Okay.
And then I could redeem that for probably 2 movies.
Yeah.
But since it's just one free pass, I'm trying to save that for a point where I'm getting a movie that's higher in price, closer to that $9 that I'd be spending.
Yeah.
Just to feel like I'm fully redeeming, because to me it makes no sense to redeem a free pass on a movie that's like half what it's worth for the free pass.
Right, and then if you actually do go see, as you said, the XD auditorium, it's going to be $8.50 to $9 anyway. Then now that's out of pocket.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? So you're kind of coming from the opposite side, where you're not yet a part of that Cinemark program, but have obviously emphasized that the Pittsburgh Mills Theater is pretty much, it's like your primary go-to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would that, I mean, if it's money you're going to be spending anyway, is engaging, in the program, from a point coming soon forward, something you would like potentially now consider, or you've been aware of what they offer for a while already, but it just hasn't been appealing enough for you?
I've been aware of it, and it's not that it's not necessarily appealing. It's a matter of, that kind of same thing Brian's saying with the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I average most months 1 or 2 movies during most months of the year. That's just my normal amount. Like certain years, like this year, well, Star Wars is the end of the year, so I'll probably end up seeing that a few times in 2020, as opposed to multiple times in 2019, rather, as opposed to multiple times 2018, all that. So it'll be something where there's only 2 movies this year I'll see multiple times, I think.
Gotcha.
And that's when it really starts to eat into me going more than once or twice a month. And most times I'm going on Sunday afternoon to avoid crowds. And it's $5.50 to go on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So, and the 20% off on concessions sounds nice. But it's a volume kind of thing where
sure.
To make up 20%, $4, let's say, I have to make up to make up that $9 a month.
Yeah.
That means
maybe that's a good
$20 on concessions.
Yeah. Now maybe that's a good contrast point. Like, Brian, how often on average do you visit a physical movie theater each month, would you say?
Probably. Well, it depends on the time of year too.
Sure.
Summertime, I'm usually there like every week because there's usually something out every week. Lately, it's been I'd somewhere between every week and every other week. There's usually every 2 weeks would probably be a good average for me.
Okay. So anyway, and during busy times with a big release, with a Marvel movie, a Star Wars movie, etc., it might range anywhere from, say, 2 to 5, 2 to 6.
Yeah, I mean, summertime, it gets real busy, especially, like, we've talked about it before, like, for Star Wars weekends and Avengers weekends, I'll see the movie 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm. Within, like, the first week.
Right,
yeah.
So, I definitely have higher volumes later on in the year. This is a little bit of a lull, but...
Sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, for the amount that I see... Especially, like, again, in the summertime and stuff, AMC is more my speed, because I would get more out of it, seeing as many movies as I would. So, yeah, that plan has been in the back of my mind for a while. I feel like I might end up there eventually, just haven't pulled
the trigger. You could end up on a seasonal rotation, where from, like, say, April through October, you run with AMC, and then November through March,
that's true.
You run with Cinemark.
Yeah, if it's a month-to-month basis, I could just pick which months I want to do which plan.
Right. Well, Josh said there are 3 months with AMC, so you could do 2 3-month sets with them through the heavy time of the year. And
I would say, like, you with AMC, you don't have to go 3 months at a time. Just upon your initial sign up, you just have to do 3 months the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's month to month. Yeah, it's not like 3-month blocks at a minimum.
Well, then you could.
Now the only thing that you might. Yeah, the only thing you might run into with either of those programs is they might have certain restrictions on whether, like, you have to be off the program for a certain amount of time after you cancel before they want you to come back.
Yeah.
Not saying they do per se. I don't explicitly recall seeing that.
That would be dumb.
But with other subscription services in, other industries and areas of life, I have seen that be a possibility. So
I see.
Just something to keep in mind.
You tend to see that when it's like something they're offering, regularly. When they regularly offer discounts, like cable service.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Things
Yeah.
like that, where they're just going to be offering this at the same price no matter what the next time you sign up, or maybe even at a higher price. Saying, I want to come back to it. It's like, I'm not going to be seeing any movies for the next several months. I know what's on the docket. I'm not interested in them. I don't want to bank anything. I just want to not have the service because I'm not going to be here.
Yeah.
And then saying, when you come back, like, I want to give you money again.
Mm-hmm.
They should say, okay. I mean, that's what good business would dictate.
You would think. Well, from what we've seen from our first examples, good business is not always common sense.
Yeah.
So, I hope that people weren't too bored to death with this and that you found it hopefully informative. And if you live in any of the areas where these particular theater chains are, that might have helped clarify or inform, help you make decisions, or maybe reinforce the idea that you don't want anything to do with them. If you're not in places where those chains primarily operate, maybe some of the background info on MoviePass and Sinemia will help clarify as well. And going forward, we're just trying to educate.
Yeah, I think ultimately our goal is a little bit similar to some of these services where we just want to get people to the theater.
Exactly.
I think that seeing movies in the theater is an experience in itself. I think especially bigger blockbusters like Avengers and stuff like that. I've had some of my favorite movie-going experiences seeing those big movies with a big crowd opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I can hype and try to convince people to go out of your way to do that, and if it comes down to one of these services helping you get free passes to do that, by all means, please do that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's worth it.
Real quick, spitball. We'll maybe end the episode with this, since you just said that. I'll go first so you guys can have some think time. Name like your one or two best moments with like the community theater experience from like those big movies or big openers, everything. Easily I can say off the top of my head, number one is the first time seeing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Saw a midnight release in New York because there was a touring museum exhibit going around the country, and it had like just come from overseas. It was in New York for that opening time period. We went there for the exhibit, got midnight tickets, and spoilers, the moment where Neville decapitates Nagini with the sword, you have never heard a theater clap and cheer out loud together audibly, deafeningly so much. Loved it.
That applause happened when I saw that movie too. Opening weekend.
Yeah.
You guys? Anything come to mind?
I can think of one very specific instance. I'm sure there's others. But very recently, you could say, with Avengers Infinity War, the theater I was in on opening night, was a very interesting experience all told, because I'm in there, it's Thursday night, and I'm just happen to be the lucky guy that sits next to the one person cosplaying in the entire theater, which sitting next to Spider-Man all night.
I was just going to ask what they were. Nice.
And he legit looked like Spider-Man too. Like he was like a late teenage kid that could be Peter Parker when he took the mask off. It was pretty cool.
Love it.
But that's not the part that was the interesting, fun part of the community part of the theater. It was at the end of the movie when somebody who perhaps was a uninformed moviegoer about the storyline or plot of Infinity Gauntlet, anything like that, had no idea what was coming.
Okay.
So, the movie goes, Thanos back on Titan, sunset, and, everybody's, just died and everything, and then we get credits, and the first thing you hear is, what the fuck? And
I thought it was going to be oh, hell no!
It brought joy into my life in that very moment. It really did. So yeah, that would definitely be the one I'm just always going to remember, because it was deafening silence in the theater at that point. Because, all these people had just watched what happens at the end of that movie, and there was no cheer, there was no excitement. It was just silence.
No, probably no, but yeah, nobody wanted to be the first noticeable sound that was heard,
Right.
like rummaging in their seat, getting up, talking to their neighbor,
It's about time to
and
hit
that
the
just
dusty trail. You know.
that guy just pierced it all.
Yes, exactly. And it was just perfect. It was well done,
Nice.
and I appreciate it to this day. Brian, go ahead.
Hit us.
I feel like I have a couple that come to mind immediately. Seeing the first Avengers at midnight with a crowd full of fans was fantastic. The moment that Hulk slams Loki around got the biggest laugh of the night.
Yes.
Force Awakens, I think, was a big one. Anytime anything nostalgic happened, seeing the Falcon, Han and Chewie for the first time, those were big applauses. That just brings a smile to my face every time. More in line to what you guys were talking about for the Infinity War opening weekend. It wasn't even my first viewing of the movie. It had to have been second or third or something like that. Mm-hmm. The moment when Tony Stark stands up to Thanos and they fight it out, the two of them, and Thanos stabs Tony.
Yeah.
It gets deathly quiet, and one lady just screams, "What? Are you fucking kidding me?" She lost her shit because she thought Tony Stark was going to die.
You know, you actually reminded me of another. Because when you brought up The Force Awakens, it reminded me of what happened in The Last Jedi. And for all the shit that people put up with from people after The Last Jedi, giving it a bad review this, bad review that, whatever. The theater absolutely erupted when Kylo killed Snoke. I feel like that has to be true for everybody that was in their opening night. Like, everybody thought in that moment, I think there was a lot of people like Paula out there. Paula, if you're listening, yes, I'm talking to you, who thought that was going to be the moment they've been waiting for. And sad clown, it wasn't. So, yeah.
Don't fuel that argument, Josh.
I
Paula,
like fueling arguments like that because I'm completely on the outside of it and I'm not invested in the outcome one way or the other.
For a podcast we thought was going to go 1 hour, and we've just about doubled that. I don't know if I want to get into that.
I'm just inviting Paula to have a friendly discussion about why she's wrong whenever she wants.
So, all right, those are great. That's I think to the point that led into that Brian brought up, if what this fosters is more attendance, more experience, more exposure, to anything. It could be to most of the award season films this year that I guarantee basically no one saw. To the big blockbusters, to the indie films, to whatever is there. If it's gonna help you decide to make the choice to spend your time that way, because at that point I think that's what it really does. It helps to take the financial factor of the choice to make off the table for the most part. And then you're left with, do I want to spend my time this way? And there are much worse ways to spend your time. And if this is how you're going to do it, then it's a worthwhile one. Obviously if you can be Batman or, save a puppy instead of, spending 2 hours at a theater that time, and that you can be Batman or save a puppy at that moment, do that instead.
Or be Batman saving a puppy.
I get that. Yeah, please do that. I'll be very mad if I learn that there is a puppy saving Batman who neglected his or her duty, to go see Vice or something. But even though I enjoyed that movie, but
I did too.
That's the point. Is more experience, more creativity. So thank you everyone for your time today.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Any final thoughts, or we're going to close it down?
I think I'm tapped out.
All right. Going through my regular spiel. If you've enjoyed the show, please stop by iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to share, subscribe, favorite the show. As I mentioned at the top of the show, you can find us on Facebook. Search for Bry Guy and His Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/BryGuySuperFriends. You can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions. Feel free to comment on this post whenever this episode is up. Let us know if you decide to go with any of these subscription services, if anything tickles your fancy. Any other questions, we will try to be there to clarify or help you out in any way. If you want to email us, you can try us at brightguysuperfriends@gmail.com. I don't check it, to be honest, but you can send us there. I'll get it 5 months later. Find us on Twitter at BGSuperFriends. That I do check. I will see those. And that's it. On behalf of Josh, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We take the crust.
Oh, come on.
Take it to the crust, not we take the crust. Take it to the crust.
Take it to the crust.
Yes, all the way to the crust.
Seductive and sexy.